can you unmute yourself and explain your role for the prepared speech sections?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So as a timer for the prepared speeches, I'll be looking at the time, and for prepared speeches, we have 5 to 7 minutes, and I'll be using a Toastmasters app to show green, red, and yellow screens. At 5 minutes, I'll show a green screen, and at 6 minutes, I'll show an orange screen, and at 7 minutes, I'll show a red screen, and you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Thank you.
Right. With that, we will go right into our prepared speeches. Our first speaker today is Chitra, and evaluating Chitra's project is Roberta. Roberta, would you unmute yourself and explain what project Chitra is working on?
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, Chitra is working on her project 2 from level 2 in the leadership development pathway, where she will be discussing her leadership style with us and in one form or another. And one thing she's asked me specifically to look for is to be able to form a connection with everyone, even in this online format. So best of luck, Chitra.
Thank you, Roberta. All right. So before we bring up Chitra and I introduce Chitra, I will ask everybody to do one more thing, which is if you look at your screen, there is a name that pops up. So if you can type in your name so that we know who you are, that would be very helpful. I see Pedro, you have something called JPPER. Can you change your name to Pedro? All right. So as you do that, I will introduce Chitra, who is our club president. Chitra, I asked Chitra why she joined Toastmasters, and Chitra said that she joined Toastmasters to get her at public speaking, and she has benefited in many ways. She's more confident in speaking in public now and has lots of good friends in Toastmasters. When I asked Chitra what one of her favorite April Fool's memory is, she said that it was when, with one of her cousins who was 5 years old, she made her cousin believe that he was an alien, and that's why he is shorter than the rest of the family. It's hard to, I'm just seeing everybody laugh and I'm giving everybody time to laugh. I'm not hearing anybody laugh. Chitra's speech title today is They Make Who You Are. So let's welcome Chitra and hear her speech, They Make Who You Are.
Thank you, everybody. Why do some people care more than others? Why do some people laugh in pain? Why do some people cry in anger? Why do everybody of us have a unique characteristic? Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmaster and guests, this whole story of having a unique characteristic is based on a theory called the butterfly effect. What's a butterfly effect, you say? It's a small factor that can make large difference in the later stages of life. Now you can ask me, what does the butterfly effect have to do with my leadership style? Let me tell you a story. Not one, but many. I remember every time I get a paycheck, I give a part of it to my parents or my friends or my relatives, and then started to use the rest of the money for what I had, for what I wanted to do. Then I was realizing, where did I learn this habit? How did this habit come into play, and how did this come into action? I got reminded of how my grandmother was. Every summer when I used to go to my grandmother's house during the vacations, we used to have a whole lunch with all my cousins. She used to eat at the very end after all the cousins, all the guests have eaten. I used to ask her, why do you eat at the very end? Why don't you sit with us? She said that she always wanted everybody to eat with full of their heart and not have any limitation of what they wanted to eat. This this inspired me, saying that she always put the welfare of others before putting herself into that. She showed me how altruistic behavior can help everybody in their life, whether knowingly or unknowingly. This is where I think I have learned to be altruistic from her. Another story involves is with my mom. As young as I was at age of 11 and 12, my mom used to discuss the family finances with me. I was like, I'm too small for that. I don't think you need to tell me why the money is going into this loan, why they have to give it to my grandparents. And then she said that it is not just the responsibility of her to save for the family, but everybody contributes to that. And that's how I realized when I was spending so much money on my junk food and getting all these interesting gadgets, then I said, oh, this is where I should learn to save for the family for the future. She showed me how affiliative uh, features can help, emphasizing to work as a team and work in harmony in small families and teaching them at kids at younger ages. There was another story when there was a friend of mine who used to go every weekend home back to her hometown, travel 7 hours, and teach the kids over there on the weekends on science and physics and maths. I used to be like, how do you manage working all week long and then going back to your hometown and helping these kids out? She said that she was trying to prepare the future generation by building their skills. And she wanted to coach because she was also coached by somebody like that. And that made her who she is today. And this is where the part of coaching comes into play, I feel. Like every leadership size, um, leader should have all these three characteristics. And I find that there are few instances where I also have these characteristics. But what is common in all these things is that the people around me has influenced me in a small way or the other. How molding the environment where we are can help us who we are today. Do you remember when Socrates said, tell me about your friends, I will tell you about yourself? This also reminds me the same thing, that the environment where we are helps where we stand and how we play into the society. Knowingly or unknowingly, we have been adding a part of ourselves to others, and vice versa. That has been happening. Make sure people take you put your best foot forward, and people take the best part of yourself and mold it into yourself, and be aware of that. Thank you.
I'm clapping on behalf of everyone. What an excellent speech, Chitra. But I connected more with your April Fools, which you made of your brother. I'm sure it was not fun for your cousin at all. All right. So let us take 1 minute to digitally type some feedback for Chitra. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, there is a button called chat, and you can select Chitra and send her feedback for what you liked about her speech. What do you think she could improve? Mr. Timer, can we have 1 minute for that?
Sure, I just started. It's 1 minute.
All right,
Hey guys, how's it going?
good. So we have a new member, Ashutosh. Ashutosh, can you turn on your video?
Oh yes.
All right.
Hey there.
So we'll put you on mute for now. You can mute yourself.
Oh yes, I'll put myself on mute.
Okay. So we'll go to our next speaker, who is Isaac, and evaluated Isaac is Matthew Mack. Matt, can you unmute yourself and tell us about Isaac's project?
Sure. So, shoot, let me call. 1 second, 1 second. Okay. This is a speech that Isaac is doing that is in the inspirational, it's an inspirational speech. That's what I know of it. And so we are looking forward to being inspired by Isaac, who we know has made us laugh a lot with his Cantinflas speech. But this will call us higher and inspire us.
I asked Isaac why he joined Toastmasters, and he said that he joined Toastmasters because he wanted to improve his communication and leadership skills. And like Chitra, he also found great friends. So Isaac, I want to tell you something. Your son is walking behind you if you look behind. Isaac did not buy it. All right. Okay. I did that because Isaac said that he doesn't know what April Fool is. So I thought I will give him a memory. But okay. So Isaac's speech is titled Qualities to Give a Second Chance. So Isaac, please come up to this virtual stage and give us your speech qualities to give a second chance.
Okay. Let me see if I can just stand a little bit. Officer, I order you to let this prostitute out of jail.
Dear Mayor, I will happily do it, but this prostitute offended one of our citizens.
Officer, let her out. She did not offend anyone. On the contrary, she was offended by the citizen.
You, the mayor, are defending me? You are the main cause of my suffering. I used to work at one of your companies, but then I got fired after it was found that I am a single mother.
My poor girl, why didn't you come to me before? I will pay you back all the money that you were supposed to earn during this time. I will bring your child back to you, and I will give you both a safe place to live. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guest. When I read this story from the book, The Miserable, I start crying. Ideas and emotions converge towards me. And with tears in my eyes, the first question arises. What are the requirements to give a second chance to a prostitute? And the first requirement came to me. hard work. The mayor was in such a good position to be able to help the needy woman. He may have worked harder than anyone around him. He may have worked 7 days of the week in order to accomplish his goals. He worked not only physically, but also spiritually. He was a good husband, a good brother, and a good son. He overcame all the barriers. The officer was forced to listen to the mayor. It is impossible to ignore such a righteous person. And with the book in my hands, the second requirement came: a spirit of sacrifice. Being at the jail instead of finding ways to make more money, being at the jail instead of spending time with his family, being at the jail instead of making weights at the gym to become stronger and more beautiful. The mayor sacrificed money, family, and prestige in order to help another human soul. The mayor had the best gift a man can receive from heaven: a spirit of sacrifice. He sacrificed himself in order to help others. And the third requirement came to me, which is courage. The mayor was unafraid of the officer. He just came and gave him an order: let the prostitute out of jail. He was unafraid of how the officer will react to that order. The mayor was unconcerned of what others could say about him visiting the jail. I think he just came to the jail and without hesitation, without looking around, he just opened the door and went inside. The mayor was unafraid of adversity. And with tears in my eyes, the second question came: what about me? What about you? Do we have some of these requirements? Yes, we do. We are here after a day of hard work. We are here wisely sacrificing our precious time in order to help others to become better speakers and leaders. We are here unafraid of adversity. Mayors, keep helping others. God will never leave us alone. Mr. Toastmasters.
Thank you so much for that inspiring speech, Isaac. Now let us take one more minute and send us, Isaac, our feedback about what you liked about his speech, some words of encouragement, and what you think he can improve in the digital chat. Mr. Timer, can we have 1 minute for the feedback? Okay.
It's 1 minute.
Okay, that ends our prepared speeches section of the meeting. The next section of our meeting is going to be table topics. And leading us through that section is going to be Austin. So in the table topic section, anybody can participate, including our guest. And because Austin is new to our virtual platform, I'll just tell everyone that you could either participate by raising your hand physically, or there is a virtual hand raising tool. You can also use that. So Austin will be able to see a blue virtual hand on the screen, and Austin will pick who comes up to do the table topics questions. So I also asked Austin why he joined Toastmasters, and he said that he joined to improve his public speaking skills. And what he gained is more confidence in himself when speaking in front of others. Austin's favorite April Fool memory was reading a new chapter from an online comic, believing it to be true, and finding out it was a prank. So probably Austin can tell us more about that. Help me welcome Austin to our virtual stage.
Thank you, Toastmaster, for the introduction. I was really disappointed when it turned out to be false, because it was all the elements was to believe to be true. I'm like, they got me good. Fellow Taskmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests, good evening. This is one of the most table talks is one of the most exciting portions of this meeting, as it's sort of an impromptu session where I'd ask a question, and you would have and you would respond. I'd like to refer to the timer, Shadir, for details on the table topics.
Hello, everyone. For the table topics, you have 1 to 2 minutes. And at 1 minute, I'll show you a green screen, and 1.5 minutes, I'll show you a yellow screen, and at 2 minutes, I'll show you a red screen, and you have 15 seconds to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you, Shadar. I'd like to turn to Alex, the grammarian, for more details.
Yes, hello everyone, I'm your grammarian. I'll be watching for you to use the word of the day to qualify for a virtual chocolate. And the word of the day is wily, which the best synonym for it is clever or scheming. So let's hope you are wily enough to sneak the word of the day into your table topic. Mr. Table Topics Master.
So, who would like to go first in this April Fool's themed session? Alicia? Sarah? Okay, Sarah. We're going on the April Fool's theme, and so my question to you is, what is your favorite prank that you played on someone?
Interesting question. So it's request. April Fool that I played on someone.
Yes, like trick, joke.
Was that the people were, not the people, the person was expecting me to trick the person. So what I did was making sure that the person would be disappointed. Because when I was done, there was no trick and there was no prank. And that in itself was the prank that the person was not expecting. And then was asking, where is the catch? I said, you have been already caught. And the person said, how so? And I replied, how not so? The person said, I didn't notice anything. I said, then you've got your answer. And the person was, I'm still not following. I said, exactly. The person said again, come on, be serious. I'm saying you cannot be more serious than that. The person said, okay, I gave up. Table topic master.
Very interesting. There's some people. Sometimes people like to get it. Sometimes people don't. That is how it is when the super serious people can't get it. Okay. Anyone else wanna participate? Richie? Okay. What is one of those times when someone was trying to prank you, but you figured it out and avoided it?
Okay, what was the first time when someone was trying to prank me and I avoided it? Well, I do remember one time growing up, I was a very tight sleeper. I would sleep so heavily, so deeply that I would not remember what time I was in. And one day it happened so that I came back from school. I was maybe 11 or 12, 6th grade, 7th grade, somewhere in the middle. And I slept after school and I woke up and it was a blue sky. I don't know if that was, I couldn't recognize if that was evening or morning. And my sister tried to play a prank on me. She said, oh my God, you're so late. You have to go to school. Get up, get up, get up. You have to get ready. Go in the shower. Go, go, go. Oh no, I was not. She was so wily about it. She was just trying to take an advantage and just to see me get pranked over. And I was going all over the home crazy, trying to find my uniform. We had uniforms in school. And trying to get into the shower. And then my grandmother was like, no, you're fine. It's evening. You have time. Go get your homework done. And I was saved. But yes, I couldn't figure it out. And I don't know any other prank that anyone ever tried to play on me. But that was the one I remember distinctly. Yeah. Back to the table topics master.
Very interesting. I'll think that like people would actually check the clock, check the time. Oh, you actually figured it out. Okay. And anyone else want to participate? Mammy? Okay. Let's see here. Whew. What is your favorite April Fool's memory?
I mean, you have to unmute.
Oh, sorry. What is your favorite April Fool's memory?
What is my favorite April Fool memory? When I was younger, in my circle of friends, people used to treat me as someone kind of serious. They would very seldom play pranks with me. But once I was in high school and we had a very tough exam period. And I had difficulties in one of the subjects and everybody knew it. We talked about it very extensively. Usually I was very wily to avoid tricks in exams, but at that occasion, I was not successful to avoid it. Even the teacher understood that that happened. And my friends came home in the evening and they said, "Oh, mommy, you know what? The exam you took today is gonna be retaken again," because the teacher realized that almost everybody fall into the pitfalls he created in the subject. I was very happy. I spent the whole night very happy because my friends knew I was sad because of the exam and slept very well. And it's only when I went back home, I went back to school the next morning, I realized that they just tricked me. That was just unbelievable. We didn't take the exam again. I got a very bad mark in that exam. I mean, in that subject, but at least the prank they played the night before helped me to relieve from the disappointment of the exam. Back to you.
Teacher and friends in pranks. Harsh. Okay, this concludes our table topic session. I'll ask the timer, Shadar, if everyone was on time.
Yes, everyone was on time.
Okay, I'd like to turn to Alex and see if everyone used the word of the day.
Yes, we had several people using the word of the day, both Mami and shoot, I have lost track of. Both Mami and Ruchi used the word of the day. Our first table topic speaker did not use it.
Okay. And then I'd like for the audience to vote for the best speaker of the day and send those votes privately to the vote counter.
So we're going to send them the Preetam, right?
Yeah, to the Preetam is
Yes, I'll do the vote counter.
Okay.
So everybody sends your vote to me privately. All right. Thank you, Austin, for that awesome table topic session. Now we will move to the next section of our meeting, which is going to be evaluations. And leading the evaluation section is going to be our former president, Tanay. When I asked Tanay why he joined Toastmasters, he said that to not get better at public speaking, but to be confident. Toastmasters made him more confident and also made him a better speaker and less anxious. One April Fool's memory that he remembered that when he fooled his little sister, that bringing magnets near her head would erase her memory. She was scared of the magnets the entire day. So, like I said, not a fun time for Tanay's sister that day, but I hope Tanay had a lot of fun. So Tanay, come to our virtual stage and lead the evaluation section.
I think I just April fooled you. My mic was on, but I was just pretending that I was not speaking. Anyways, that was a lame attempt. So let's move on to the next section of the meeting, which is evaluations. And in this section, the prepared speeches, the speakers get the wonderful evaluations from the evaluators so that they can improve. They can learn and improve on what they did good and what they could improve on in their speech. So before we begin the evaluation section, I would like to ask the timer to give us some rules about the evaluations. Sridhar, could you please tell us about what are the timing rules for the evaluations?
Sure. Hello again, everyone. So for the evaluation section, we have evaluators have 2 to 3 minutes for the evaluations, and at 2 minutes, I'll show you the green screen, and 2.5 orange screen. At 3, I'll show you the red screen, and you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Thank you.
Now moving to the first evaluator, which is Roberta, who is evaluating Chitra. Roberta, could you share us your evaluation that you have about Chitra?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you, Chitra, for jumping in our second online meeting and being a leader and showing us what it looks like to traverse this new format we have going on. So that's definitely a signature of being a leader right there. Your speech tonight, the objective was to share with us your leadership style or styles, depending on what you uncovered for yourself. And I love the way you started out using a few rhetorical questions to draw us in as the audience, to get us thinking, why are we the way we are? What makes us up? You know, how did we get to be where we are? So you did a really great job throwing those questions out there to get us thinking as you started into your speech. I also think you did a really great job. I loved how you put each of your characteristics in a context, or at least who you were influenced by, or the historical influence, you know, family members, friends, that type of thing, and giving us little snapshots along the way of this is how this characteristic came out, and this is where this characteristic came to be. This was the influence behind it. This was the person that influenced me in that way. So you did a great job tying personal into kind of an informational type of speech. So well done there. Specifically, you asked me to look for if you connected with your audience online, and I think the topic and, like I said, the way you asked questions did a good job to set that tone. One thing that's a little bit hard to overcome is eye contact with cameras and computers and knowing where to look. And it's especially tempting if there's not a body to kind of look away. So I think it's kind of hard for all of us as we figure out this format. Where do we actually look to engage with our audience? And maybe even trying to figure that out ahead of time. If I put my camera here, this is what it will look like to everyone else. Another thing that I think to just an opportunity would be to reiterate your styles either at the end in your summary, or make it really clear along the way. These are my different leadership styles, and tying them into each of your stories. Lastly, just one thing to challenge yourself, again, in this format, because we're trying out new things. Transitions maybe can be a little sharper with our words, since we don't necessarily have the physical space to make a transition. We often talk about using our stage to help separate thoughts or points, and we can't do that as well in an online format. So being really clear with our words to transition from point to point, I think would be an opportunity to challenge yourself. But overall, again, you did a great job with your rhetorical questions and tying in the personal with the informative, and you really did a great job in this format. So well done, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Roberta. Now we'll move on to the next evaluator, who is Matt Mack, who is evaluating Isaac. Matt, could you unmute yourself and share your evaluations that you have for Isaac?
Absolutely. So Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmasters, and especially Isaac. I'll put you in the screen here. This was truly an inspirational speech in every sense of the word. I don't think you can talk about Les Mis and not be incredibly inspiring. I loved your opening. You started with this scene from the book. Like a lot of us halfway through were kind of wondering if it was Les Mis, and it was wonderful. I loved how you did that. Playing out that scene was very captivating. Your voice through the entire speech was incredibly effective. You were very intense with your voice. You had variety in how you used it, and you were very elevated at times, and you allowed it was very authentic. You were completely your voice embodied your heart, and it was really apparent. And that was amazing. I absolutely loved how you did that. I was amazed with it. Your body language also fell right in line with what you were feeling, and it was natural. I didn't feel like it was forced. You were feeling it so strongly, and your movements and your voice paralleled it completely, and it was beautiful. I loved when you reached your arms up to the sky, and I forgot what you said with that, but it was really effective at delivering the strength of what you wanted to get across, which is this utterly beautiful thing of mercy and of forgiveness and giving the second chance that you kept talking about. You were organized. You had three points. That was good, and two main questions. And maybe the strongest point, Isaac, was that you were vulnerable and you were emotionally invested in this, and you backed away from it zero. A lot of us get the feedback to lean into the vulnerability. I feel like you did that. You completely leaned into it, and you did not run away from it. I love that you stood to deliver this speech. That's going to be something for all of us to think about as we give these speeches, is to stand or sit, and not saying one is always right, but you really made the most of your space there in this new forum. A couple of things to change possibly if you were to give this speech again. Your voice for the prostitute was a little caricatured. Like it was I don't think you meant for it to be demeaning or anything like that, but it was just a little too much. Like I wouldn't make it so high pitched. It feels like you're doing a Jose. But yeah, I'd change her voice. Not so much, a little less there. And what else? I did have another thing for you. Oh, I think you called it the requirements of giving a second chance, or your title was the qualities to give a second chance. I think you want to change that to like something like character traits, or I don't really know yet, but the word needs to be changed. I'm not sure what. Beautiful, inspiring, impassioned. I'm absolutely wanting to watch Les Mis tonight. And thank you, Isaac. It's so wonderful to have you on here with us. I'm so glad you're here from Milwaukee. And thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Now we'll move on to the reports by our functionaries. The first functionary that I would like to call upon is Xavier, who's the R counter. Xavier, can you give us the report that you have collected throughout the meeting?
You betcha. Throughout the meeting, I've been privately messaging anyone that's used filler words or hasn't. Our three notable speakers tonight who haven't used any filler words. One was Isak, nice job. And the other two were two of our table topic speakers, Alistair and Mami. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Now we'll move on to the report by our timer, Sridhar. Sridhar, can you tell us about the timing report throughout the meeting?
Sure. So for the first speaker, Chitra, sorry, I missed to start with timer, but definitely based on my guess, it definitely didn't cross 7-minute mark. So you were less than 7 minutes. And Isaac, you took 6 minutes for your speech, for the second speech. And for the evaluators, again, missed to start the timer for Roberta, but she was about 3-minute mark, I think. And Matt, you just went a little over. So you took 4 minutes, 15 seconds for evaluations. That's all.
And finally, from our grammarian, Alex Turner. I can't see Alex.
There I am.
Oh,
all right. I was struggling with the computer here. Hi, everyone. I'm your grammarian for tonight. I have some feedback about pronunciation for everyone, particularly for Chitra. And then I want to talk a little bit about rhetoric and Isaac's speech. And I'll go forward from there. So Chitra, a few things about pronunciation. You said vice versa, and that's just vice versa, at least here. And then another word was environment. You said environment a couple times. That might be a more anglicized pronunciation, but in the US we say environment. So a couple pronunciation things there. Isaac, you had a good rule of 3 there with hard work, sacrifice, and courage. That was wonderful. One of the ways that we can grow our use of rhetoric is thinking about speaking in complete sentences. Oftentimes when we are extemporizing or when we're speaking off the cuff, we can turn our speeches into a run-on sentence. And so it's important for us, like I just did right there, so it's important for us to make sure that we're finishing an idea as much as we can to try to speak in complete sentences. And what that forces you to do is think about how to finish the idea that you're speaking. And it adds a lot of power to your sentences when you finish your sentences, you finish that clause, and you do it with a rule of 3, or you do it with a chiasmus, you do it with some kind of powerful way of doing things. And Sarah's laughing at me because I'm doing the exact opposite of what I'm saying. But I promise that if you practice your speeches and you focus on how do I finish this thought, that you will powerfully finish each thought, and it will add a lot of power to your speeches. So I'll turn it back to our general evaluator tonight.
Alex, now I have some comments about the meeting. The meeting went well. A few of the suggestions that I have as a general evaluator is the comments in the Zoom group chat for everyone. I think it becomes if it becomes a little bit of distracting if people are having a conversation there. I think that's just my opinion of it. But if that could be reserved for just the functionaries and like people can converse with everybody else privately, then that like it would just stop the notifications, and like if the speaker is speaking and he sees the notification, then there's a chances that they might get distracted. Apart from that, if you are in the gallery view, I love that what Sridhar was doing as a timer throughout the meeting, which was just put the red, yellow, and green colors on in front of the camera, so that if you're in a gallery view, you can see the timings. And instead of like, I mean, it's nice that it's also posted in Zoom chat, so you can like, see simultaneously. But I preferred the one with the camera, because that was just like that was in front of me, and I, instead of like looking at the chat, I could just look at that. And lastly, this is just a suggestion that I have, is when like if we can edit names on Zoom, then do you think it's a good idea to edit your names? And if you are a functionary, then you could like just like hyphen this and that, something like that. This is my report, and I'm giving back the control to Preeta.
Thank you, Danay. So now we are going to announce the winner of the table topics. To do that, I would ask everyone to unmute and bang their tables for a drum roll. So I think everybody is unmuted. Let's have a drum roll. The winner for the table topics is Ruchi. Because she's sitting with me, I'll just give her a can of energy drink. So before I hand over the control to our president, our vice president of education, Sarah Francis, has an announcement to make. So Sarah, can you make that announcement?
So you all saw how great this meeting was, and I know you all want to participate in next week's meeting. If you want to do that, you can send me a private message before I leave the meeting. I'll stick around a little bit. Or you can email tigertales2014@gmail.com at any point during the week if you're struck with an epiphany and need to participate in next week's meeting. We can't participate unless we have roles filled, speakers, evaluators, functionaries, etc. So thanks, Xavier. Yes, so please contact me so that I don't have to hunt you down or sign you up without your permission.
So I'm going to hand it over to our president, Chitra, who's going to get some guest feedback, make announcements, and tell everybody, if you're not a member, how to join the club. So over to you, Chitra.
Thank you, Preetam. This is good that we are having guests and bringing in family to the meeting to accommodate in such difficult times together and fight the pandemic and also fight our boredom together. This is a good way. We have some new faces, Pedro and Isaac. Isaac, I heard you have been a long-time member over here. How did you like the meeting, and what do you think can be improved in this?
Thank you. I enjoyed the meeting a lot. I'm very happy to give myself the chance to be here with all of you and meet new people, and also meet my old friends. Well, I won't call them old friends, but my friends, because I'm still in contact with most of them. So that's great. Yeah, I'm very happy to, and I enjoy the meeting a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. Hope you can join us soon in the later meetings as well. Pedro isn't on the call. Oh, he's. Hi, Pedro. How did you think about our Toastmasters meeting, and what did you like, and what could we improve on?
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the meeting. I think it's a challenge to speak in public, and most in this media. But in general, I'm discovering how does it work. But in general, I enjoyed. Thank you so much for the acceptance. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. Please share the word of sharing this session, Zoom call meeting sessions with your friends and family, so we can have more people into our virtual meeting. And if you want to have a role or have roles in the upcoming meetings, contact our VP Education, Sarah. And if you want to join our club and talk about membership roles, talk to Alice over here. And if you have any feedbacks on how to improve this meeting even further, you can talk about it. Does anybody have something to say over here? Okay. Then I guess with that we can adjourn the meeting. See you next week, guys. Bye.
See you next week.
Bye bye.